I'm Matt Willoughby with the Civitas Legislative Report. A House committee has approved some incentives for small businesses to hire more people and provide health insurance. The employers would receive about $1,000 for each new employee. But small business owners say it's not enough of a return to invest even at the low end of the pay scale. Republican Representative Marilyn Avila and her husband owned a string of small businesses. She says even the health insurance credit is not enough.
This bill gives a $250 credit for an employer to furnish health insurance. I still believe with today's health care costs, it would be a net loss for the employer. I'm not sure it would really be something that they will jump out and take advantage of. The other thing that they said was one of the things they heard people needed was available credit. That's all well and good when you're looking at going into an economy of growing. But with what we're looking at now, with a stagnant and even failing economy for 2 or 3 more years, which is what I'm hearing, people aren't going to want to borrow money, that there's a question of whether or not they'd be able to pay it back. I really feel like that the better direction they could have gone was to look at businesses and say, what's costing you money from a regulation standpoint that we could get rid of? What's costing you money from a tax standpoint that we could lower or even eliminate? That's not the approach that's taken. That's not the approach this power base down here will even consider. And I don't know that they will see much positive results from this bill.
In a discussion with a conference of the National Federation of Independent Businesses recently in Raleigh, Governor Beverly Perdue seemed to back up Avila's contention that leaders wouldn't cut taxes any further. In fact, the governor said what is needed is a new tax.
Somebody has to pay for the services that we want as public citizens. And I actually, in all due respect, think it's time we stop whining about the difference between local and state taxes and just decided to put them all together and find out what the average tax rate is and then move on. But then I would also suggest you need to give me a list of services you want to cut as we cut taxes. I'm totally committed to tax restructuring. I believe we must do that in North Carolina. I think you can no longer depend on the corporate and the personal income tax. I believe we have got to go to some kind of service tax across the board to replace, and see, you say no, but I understand that, because that means when I get my dog's haircut, I'm going to have to pay a service tax. So if it isn't a service tax, what's it going to do? We need some solutions, you all.
There is a provision in the Senate budget that would cut the tax rate for some small businesses from 7.7% to the corporate rate of 6.9%. Republican Senator Jim Forrester introduced a bill that would cut that corporate rate even further down to 6.4%, but he doesn't expect it to get a hearing. I'm Matt Willoughby with the Civitas Legislative Report.